Once in a blue moon, I find a story that I find so fucking amazing that I just feel like, yep, recording it. Nope, no questions. Nope, just fucking recording it. Just done. I don't care. I just found it 5 minutes ago. I fucking doing it just right now. Today's one of those days. Today, I'm going to be reading Meet My Uncle. It's that time of year again at Ponyville Elementary with Family Appreciation Day. Little Apple is feeling left in the dust yet again as all of her immediate family members are too busy to come in to speak. The little filly is left with only one other option, her honorary family member. If only he had actually taken a bath for once. A rated T for Trevor, so expect colorful language and some bloody good violence. Don't worry, no ponies were home in the marking of the story. However, many changelings were. Fair warning, I would actually rate this story more mature, because the language in this is highly colorful. But it's fucking funny. So I'm not playing. Bloom shifted a bit in her desk, fidgeting her hooves nervously. She looked up at the clock for which had to have been the 10th time in the last 15 minutes, only to see that the hand had barely moved at all. A sad sigh escaped her lips before she hung her head over her desk. Despite her down mood, the rest of the classroom was very lively. Every Colton filly chattered amongst themselves, with their family members sitting beside their desks. Once again, it was Family Appreciation Day, and the turnout was even bigger than last year. Every single foal in the classroom had a family member with them, ready to speak about themselves to the class when their time came. Scootaloo had her mother, who was talking with Sweetbill's visiting aunt from Trottingham. Rumble and Buttonmash had both had their older brothers, who seemed to be in a very secretive conversation while shooting the weird smiles at Miss Cheerily. That's creepy. And Diamond Tiara and Silverspoon once again had their fathers, who seemed to let off an aura of self-smugness. Yes, every pony had a family member. All except a certain farm billy. Babble thump. Bloom's ears folded down against her head. This day was once again turning out badly. Granted, last year's had ended up being terrific, despite fear of her granny embarrassing her. But her grandmother had gotten up in front of her class and amazed them all. The story she told was almost unbelievable, dating back more years than Bloom could have imagined. Who would have thought that she actually helped found Ponyville? The look of disbelief on Diamond Tiara's face was priceless. Well, most of the moments were priceless, but that especially was priceless. The comforting memory, however, was not enough to alleviate the downer she was feeling right now. Granny Smith had been having some hip problems and had declined to come in to speak again. Bloom had gone to both of her older siblings, but had once again been met with disappointment. Applejack and Big Bag Dogs were both busying themselves in the orchards, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, already well into the harvest season. If you have a problem with me saying fuck, then leave the story right now. The language gets much more colorful. And thus, Bloom was left with no other options. Well, almost. There was one other honorary family member that she asked to show up. The only problem was that he was a very busy guy a lot of the time. And even when he wasn't busy... Hey, whispered a snide yet familiar voice off to her side. Bloom begrudgingly turned her gaze up to meet the smug grin of a certain pig filly. Where's your family member this year, blank flank? Diamond Tiara asked in an overly confident tone. Oh, big riches, so much fun. Her father was so deep into conversation with Silverspoon's father that he paid no attention to his own daughter's words. I would have figured that after last year he would once again steal the show. Bloom bit her bottom lip. Well, he's... I knew it. Diamond crossed her forelegs and snickered. That act you pulled off last year was all you had, wasn't it? Looks like this year you will get left in the shadows. Nuh-uh. Bloom narrowed her eyes. For your information, I do have some pony coming. Oh, really? Diamond raised an eyebrow. And where is he? Well, he... Bloom scratched the back of her head and looked out the window. He's just running a little late is all. Pfft, as if. Diamond leaned forward on her desk. You're probably just making up a family member to make yourself feel better. How very pathetic. Diamond shook her head. You don't know nothing. Bloom said with an angry frown. He is coming. Whatever you say, blank flank. Diamond said, her smug grin once again present on her face. Not like it would matter anyway. Even if your grandma was here, she would not be able to outshine for my daddy again. She leaned toward Bloom, her smile growing bigger. Did you hear that that his company recently bought out Speckled International? Yes, Speckled International, for all your diamond needs. Literally, we sell gems. Bitch. Bloom kept her stare for a moment before letting her head fall in defeat. Of course she had heard! Man, because damn Tiara, shut up about it. Speckled International was one of the largest exporters of precious gems out of Equestria, with contacts in Griffonia, Saddle Arabia, and even the Badlands. The motherfucking Badlands, you don't fuck with them. Supposedly, her father had been recently gotten control of the company, making a lot of bliss in the process. Whereas her family was wealthy before, now they were filthy rich. No pun intended. Money isn't all that important, Bloom said quietly, but loud enough for the boy to hear. Diamond Tiara frowned. Yeah, I suppose you are right, she said before her smile returned once again in full force. I guess what is important is having family members who actually care enough to make some time for you. Those words hit home, and Bloom turned away from her. Just leave me alone, she whimpered, which earned a triumphant laugh from Diamond. All right, every pony. I don't have a voice for Miss Cheerily. I'm sorry, everybody. Miss Cheerily said aloud in her usual chip tone, It's that time of the year again, with Family Appreciation Day, so who would like to speak first? Quite a few who shut up, and Cheerily selected Sweetie to come up with her aunt. Bloom tuned out the next hour, choosing instead to gaze out the window. It was a nice sunny day out, which bugged her greatly. With the way she was feeling, a thunderstorm would have been more appropriate. Well, the world can't revolve around you, Bloom. The minutes roll on as more and more family members gave explanations of themselves and what they did for a living. Bloom ignored most of it, right up until the end. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Filthy Rich. That's seriously, who the fuck names their child that? I'm sorry, but who names their child Filthy Rich? It's like, honey, we have so much money. Let's name our son Filthy Rich. oh, I don't know, fucking gold. You were so correct. I don't know. That was awful. I apologize. Cheerily said to Diamond's father, who gave a proud grin before returning with his daughter to her desk. Now then, is there any pony else who we haven't introduced yet? There were a few seconds of silence before Cheerily spoke again. No pony left? Alright then, well then I suppose that would conclude. It should have ended right there. Celestia knows that Bloom wanted it to end right there. Did she? Well. But her tormentor would not let her be. Excuse me, Miss Cheerily? Diamond Tiara spoke in a polite tone as she raised her roof, but I think we forgot Apple Bloom. The filly in question turned her head sharply to Diamond Tiara, who gave her a smug grin. Oh? Cheerily cocked an eyebrow. Apple Bloom looked forward. All eyes in the room fell on the filly as the teacher spoke. And where is your family member, Apple Bloom? Everybody, if you have a problem with anybody who's sociopathic, psychopathic, drug dealing, drug making, drug addicted, cannibalistic, or just generally vulgar, now is the time to leave. Well... Bloom's ears folded down against her head as an awkward silence fell across the room. Well, I did ask some pony to come in. All right then, Cheerily said. And where is he or she? Bloom remained silent for a few moments, and in that time she heard a few snickers across the room. Finally, she let out a defeated silence and hung her head. He's not here, she said sorrowfully. Oh, how sad. Oh, Cheerily said with a look of unease. Well, perhaps another time then. I suppose we should wrap things up for today, and Cheerily cut herself off by the sound of something screeching from outside. Bloom immediately turned her head to look out the window, and a gigantic smile found its way onto her face. From down the road, she saw a familiar red metal cart barreling down the path on 4 rubber wheels. As it came close, a sound akin to something rumbling could be heard along with it. It swerved a bit until it disappeared around the edge of the schoolhouse near the front, where the sound of loud screeching could be heard as it came to a stop. A few seconds later, the rumbling was cut off, and a few seconds after that, there was a rough pounding on the door. Strange. This is all very strange, Julie said to herself as she walked across the room. I wonder who that could be. I'm going to push this away from me a bit. That was fucking awful. I'm going to be really loud for this, so I apologize. As the teacher made her way toward the door, the students and family members all began to talk amongst themselves in hushed whispers. And amongst it all, there sat little Bloom, still with that massive grin on her face. It soon disappeared as soon as she realized Cheerily had never met this particular family member before. She turned her head just in time to see her teacher open the door. Hello, Cheerily said as she opened the door with a warm smile. Welcome to Ponyville Elementary. Any other words she had died on her tongue. Her pupils shrank to the size of pinpricks and her breath got caught in her throat. The tall, biped creature leaned against the door frame with a twisted grin on its face. It was wearing a messy, stained white t-shirt and a pair of ratty gray pants. I can only imagine what rarity you would think. I kid. Actually, no, I'm not. I can only imagine what Ray would say. On the one of its legs were a pair of brown boots covered in dirt. The top of its head was partially covered by a messy black mane that had a balding spot on the top. Across its neck was a black dotted line with the words, "Cut here," written in black into its skin. It held a bottle in one of its claw-like appendages, which it brought up for a long swig. "Well, hey there, beautiful!" it said in a rough voice, drawing everybody's attention to it. It threw the bottle it was holding against the outer edge of the building where it shouted, "I'm here for the family worshiping ceremony." Yeah, that's entirely accurate. Thank you, Trevor. Startled gasp rang out from the room as most of the ponies all stared with wide eyes and slack jaws. A few of the Colton fillies scooted a little closer to the family members, clearly afraid of the strange creature that was standing at the door. None of them were more terrified than Miss Cheerly, who took a few uneasy steps back from the strange biped. The creature took a long glance around the room at all of the terrified expressions he was receiving and caught an eyebrow. "What the hell are you looking at? Did I get something on my face?" Everybody froze up where they were, not daring to make a move. Nearly every single one of them had fearful expressions on their faces. Well, all except one. Uncle Trevor! This is going to be fantastic. The biped and every pony turned towards the source of the voice as he apple him happily scampering through the rows of desk. The creature crouched down and she ran up to him and practically leaped into his waiting arms, wrapping her hooves around his neck. "There's my favorite niece," he said with a laugh as he hugged her and ruffled her mane. At least until she stopped her nuzzling and bopped him in the forehead with a hoof. "Ow, what the hell was that for?" Bloom slipped off out of his grasp and onto the floor and looked up to him with an angry frown. "You're late! What took you so long?" She looked down at her legs and chest, which were slightly damp. "And why are you all wet?" "Sorry, sweetie," he said as he shrugged. "Got cut up earlier." "Oh?" Bloom tilted her head to the side. "With what?" Trevor brought a hand and stroked his chin thoughtfully. "Well, 13 minutes earlier. Fuck! Smash. You! Smash. Fuck! Smash. You! Smash. That's literally what it says, by the way. Trevor lifted his boot off the changeling's head, which had been reduced to a green, bloody pulp by his relentless stomping. All around his truck there were others as well, all with puddles of green around their dead, limp bodies. Some had holes punched clear through their black chitin, while others looked like they had been brutally beat upside the head with a blunt object. It's probably not far from the truth. "You little fuck!" Trevor screamed at the dead changeling at his feet while he waved his pistol at it. Large splotches of green blood covered his shirt, pants, and face. "We could have just made the deal and gone over happily little lives, but no! You had to go and try to fuck me, didn't you? You could have at least had the common courtesy of giving me a reach around first!" If you have a problem with any of this, just leave now. He lashed it again, kicked the changeling's body in the torso, his steel-toed boot smashing clear through the chitin. He retracted his foot and more green entrails spilled out of the opening left behind. "Well, now you're right where you belong!" Trevor screamed as he pointed his boot, which was covered in green. "A smash bug beneath my boot. It's just so fucking appropriate, isn't it?" Trevor seethed in rage as he stared down at the pulverized head of the changeling. After taking a few deep breaths, he let himself slump to the ground, sitting on his bum. He sat there for a few moments, just staring up into the sky with the pistol resting on his knee. He turned back to look at the dead body before reaching a hand to pat it on the back. "I'm sorry, Axel," Trevor said in a comforting tone to the jet changeling whose name had been Axel. "You know I would never hurt you. It's just that I get a little irritated sometimes, you know?" The body just remained where it was, its wings giving a slight twitch. "Yeah, I know," Trevor said. "But I sincerely hope this will not affect our relationship. Because, know this." Trevor leaned in to stare into one of the eyes that floated in the brain mush. "I will always love you." "Hey, boss." I don't know how to do chef. I'm sorry. Came a distorted voice from the truck. "Boss, are you there?" Trevor let out an irritated grunt before he stood up, rushed over to the truck, and picked up the radio. "Damn it, Cook! I'm trying to have a heart-filled moment with some fallen former friends, and you just interrupted it." Wait, fallen former friends? The radio was silent for a few moments before the voice of the pony came again. "Pony? Okay. What about the meeting? Did you make the trade?" "Unfortunately, the deal did not go down as planned," Trevor said as he threw the empty pistol into the back of the bed truck. "We had a bit of He reached a leg over to kick away a changeling corpse who'd been slumped against one of his truck's tires. "Corporate disagreement." "Shit," said the voice of Trevor's pony employee. "Well, what happened?" "Apparently what we had brought them was not what Twitch had promised to them beforehand," Trevor said as he went over and picked up both the shipment and the case of bits that were to be exchanged for it. He returned and threw them both in the back of the truck next to the large pile of weaponry. "They got a little angry and demanded more, so I, in turn, got a little angry as well. He reached up on the hood of the truck and picked up the severed foreleg of the changeling whose throat he had stuffed a grenade down a few minutes earlier. Buck, boss, Cook said in a desperate voice. Did you really have to kill them, though? Trevor's face twisted into one of anger. What was that, Cook? He threw the changeling's forelegs onto the ground. Are you questioning the way that I do business? No, man, no, Cook said hastily. It's just, well, business will be harder if shit like this keeps happening. It's because of this that we had to stop dealing with griffins. Not like I'm shedding a tear of those bastards. Trevor said as he jumped in the driver's seat of the truck with the radio still in hand. Changelings are so much easier to work with than those feather fucks. Seriously, those griffins have such attitude problems. Trevor reached up and switched on the wipers and washer fluid, cleaning off the large splatter of green blood from the windshield. I found their lack of patience and tolerance highly offensive. Well, I doubt those feathered bucks will be working with us anytime soon, Cook replied with a sigh, especially after how our last meeting went with them. Trevor smiled at the memory. They attempted to deal with their friends from up north. It had gone south when one of the griffins made the dire mistake of accusing Trevor of cheating them out of product. With a high-powered sniper, the entire thing had been turned into a turkey shoot. Literally. If only Cletus had been there. Trevor thought with a nostalgic smile before he shook his head and brought the radio back to his mouth. Well, I am sure in time they will forget and forgive. But in the meantime, we have changelings. Yeah, but what if the other dealers from the highs hear about this? Cook asked. They might not want to work with us, because changelings breed like fucking rabbits. Trevor said as he started up the truck. You kill one, and there are 10 others to take place. Therefore, we won't have to worry about a shortage of potential business partners. With demand in the hive so high at the moment, more and more dealers keep popping up. All right, boss, if you say so, Cook said with a sigh. So you got both the money and the goods. You bringing them back to the farm now? Not yet. Trevor said as he laid on the gas. The truck lurched forward and took off down the road leading back into town from the remote clearing the evergreen. My niece asked me to come and speak at her classroom today. I get to tell them about Trevor Phillip Industries. If you can't tell, this will not go well for anybody. I hope you're all excited. Whoa, Cook said hastily. You're not gonna tell them everything, right? Do you take me for a fucking idiot, Cook? Trevor practically screamed into the radio. I don't feel like screaming right now. I have times when I scream. Not right now. Of course not! I will give them the impression of a legitimate business without all of the unpleasant bits. But I thought we are legitimate business. Of course we are! Trevor said as he turned corner down the forest path. But they don't know that. Which is why I am trying to help alleviate the obliviousness that is the consumer system. Okay, I see now, Cook gave a chuckle. So his whole family speaking things just to help us with our advertising. Gotta say, that is a smart... Trevor immediately slammed on the brakes, stopping along the forest road. Along either side, the dark trees surrounded the truck, creating a very foreboding atmosphere. Trevor's face twisted up in a snarl upon hearing Cook's words. What? Trevor took deep breaths as he spoke dangerously low to the radio. What the fuck did you just say? The speaking boss, Cook said, completely oblivious to Trevor's growing anger. A lot of parents and older ponies will be there. It's a great opportunity to spread our business. You... Trevor began to shake as his grip on the radio tightened. There was a bit of movement along the tree line, but he ignored it. You little greedy fuck! Boss, I don't understand. What kind of self-centered fucking degenerate do you take me for? Trevor screamed at the radio. The silhouette of a large creature appeared beyond the tree line. You honestly think I'm doing this for myself? But I thought... I didn't mean to. Even the stored of panic in Cook's voice was easily identified. You little shit-eating mother! A roar came from the shape in the tree line, and a few trees parted to allow the large creature to step onto the road towards the truck. Trevor let out an even louder roar of rage before reaching back and pulling a light machine gun out of the bed of the truck. Yep. He hopped out of the driver's seat, leveled the weapon on the beast as it charged and squeezed the trigger. The silence of the forest was shattered by a series of loud crackling as the machine gun let loose a volley of fire just as the manticore began to charge. The bullet slammed into its face and it gave a roar of pain. While the manticore stopped to cover its head with a paw, Trevor continued to stomp forward, all the while holding the trigger. The bullets tore the paw of the beast to pieces in a spray of red and then got the face it was trying to protect. The Manticore was only able to let off a single pain shriek before another wave of lead shredded its face into a gory mess. However, even after the beast slumped to the dirt ground, Trevor continued to fire at the dead body. He sprayed bullets all up and down its leg, painting the forest floor a fine red. A fine crimson red, if you will. He eventually stopped walking until he was right over the corpse, but did not stop firing even from point-blank range. The spray soon covered him as well, with his gunfire kicking up a thick layer of crimson and gore that mixed with the green blood of the changelings on his clothes. Finally, the gun gave a few clicks as the barrel ran dry. Trevor stood there over the shredded, bloody mass of entrails and fur, dripping with its blood on both his clothes and his spent machine gun. He took a few moments to let the last of his rage dissipate with his heavy breathing. "Boss, what the fuck is going on?" came Cook's frantic voice from the radio. "Boss, can you hear me?" Trevor turned away from his fresh kill and walked back to the truck, throwing his blood-covered machine gun in the back of the bed as he did so. He jumped into the driver's seat, landing in the leather seat with a wet splat from his crimson-soaked clothes. He reached a blood-covered hand out and took the radio. "Well, I hope you're happy, Cook," Trevor said as he wiped some blood out of his eyes. "I just had to kill a magnificent creature of the Force because of you!" What? Came Cook's confused voice. "I don't understand, boss. All you need to understand is that I'm not going to this thing because of my own business endeavors," Trevor said as he laid on the gas and took off once again down the road. "I'm going because a sweet, adorable, innocent filly who looks up to me asked me to go, and I intend to keep that promise. Not for me, but for her." Oh. The radio was silent for a few minutes before Cook spoke again. "Alright then, family is important, I guess." "You're damn fucking right it's important, especially after all the family has done for me," Trevor said as he continued to drive. "Once I am done there, we will come home, and then you and Dozer get to clean both my trucks and the guns while I have a little chat with Twitch about his negotiating skills." Shit. "Alright, now get back to work," Trevor commanded. "I expect that next batch to be ready for tomorrow for the deal." With that, Trevor hung up on the radio and turned it off. He continued down the road that led back into town from the forest. Along the way, the truck gave a slight jump as it ran over something, which gave a yelp of pain. "Timberwolf," Trevor said flatly as he continued to drive. "Definitely a Timberwolf. Present day. Traffic," Trevor said plainly. Bloom cocked an eyebrow. "Traffic?" "Yup. Traffic," Trevor said with a shrug. Bloom rolled her eyes. "Alright then, but why are y'all wet?" Trevor ran a hand down his soaked pants and shirt. "Because I jumped into the lake on the way here." Bloom cocked her head to the side with a slight smile. "And why did you jump into the lake?" "Because..." Trevor thought for a moment. "I was dirty." "But you're always dirty," Bloom said with a smirk. "Yep, but I just figured I would make myself nice for my little niece's class." Trevor said with a proud smile as he held a hand to his heart. "I take my hygiene very seriously." Bloom gave a few giggles. "Uncle Trevor, you're so silly sometimes." Ahem. Both Bloom and Trevor turned her head upwards and remembered that they were not the only ones in the classroom. Miss Cheerily gave a nervous smile. "So, Bloom, I assume you know this," she thought for a moment for the right word. "Individual?" Bloom perked up. "Yep, he's here to speak for me for Family Appreciation Day." She looked around nervously. "I wasn't aware that your family consisted of, well, something like this." "Excuse me?" Trevor gave an irritated look as he stood back up, towering over the school teacher and every other pony in the classroom. "What the hell do you mean by something?" He took a step forward towards Cheerily with an enraged glare and then he shrunk down to her haunches. "This something has a name, and that name is Trevor Phillips. If you don't like it, you can shove it up your..." Trevor was cut off by something tugging at his pant leg. He looked down to see Bloom giving him a scolding look. "Uncle, remember your temper, please?" Trevor backed down with a defeated grunt and crossed his arms. Only Bloom can make Trevor Phillips, this fucking insane murderer, calm down. That's saying something. Bloom looked back up to Cheerily with a pleading gaze. Can you speak, Miss Cheerily?" Well, I don't know. We were getting awfully close to the end of the day." Cheerily trailed off as she looked back up at Trevor, who gave her the greatest death glare she had ever received in her life. She immediately turned back to Bloom with a gigantic fake smile. "But we can always make time. Yes, we can." Cheerily gave a nervous laugh as she ushered them toward the front of the classroom. As Bloom and Trevor walked forward, he turned his head both ways to see the faces that were regarding him. A grey filly with reading glasses gave him a look of disgust as he growled at her. She fearfully shrunk back against her father, who clutched her protectively. Two of them reached the front of the class and turned around. Cheerily had opted to take one of the empty desks in the very back, trying to stay as far away from the human as she could. "Ever, pony?" Bloom said with a big smile. She motioned to the human standing next to her with a hoof. "Me and my Uncle Trevor." Every pony merely stared in silence, and some pony in the back coughed. Trevor scanned the room with a cocked eyebrow. After a few moments of awkward silence, he received a nudge to the shin from Bloom, and he looked down to see her tilt her head toward his class. He gave a heavy sigh. "Hello, everyone." Bloom gave him another nudge. "Hello, every pony. My name is Trevor Phillips, and I am an alcoholic." "Uncle!" Bloom scolded and frowned. Trevor looked out on the shocked and disgusted faces of the ponies in the room with a satisfied smile. "Just kidding!" "Well, no, not really." Every pony continued to stare with looks ranging from surprise to unease. "So, any questions?" A small hoof raised up amongst the crowd, and Trevor turned his head to see a little grey unicorn filly a few rows back. The filly had a very nervous look on her face. Trevor pointed to her. "Yeah? Dinky twirled her hooves nervously. "If you don't mind me asking, sir, what exactly are you?" "I am a businessman," Trevor said plainly. "No," the filly shook her head. "I mean, like, what species are you?" "Oh," Trevor said with a amused look. "Well, I am called a human, although if you want to get fancy, our scientific name is Homo sapiens." There were a few stifled giggles, and Trevor turned his head sharply toward the source, which were the older brothers of Button, Mash, and Rumble. "What? You think that's funny?" The two immediately shut up, but Trevor did not. "You know what else will be funny? The sight of you two laughing with no goddamn teeth!" Every pony in the room gasped, but Trevor growled in anger. "Uncle!" Bloom said as she tugged on his pant leg. "Please, no threatening ponies in the classroom, and watch your language." "Sir!" cheerily called across the room from a friend. "I will not tolerate threats to any pony in my classroom." Trevor turned his head up to her, and she once again shrunk under his gaze. He lifted a finger and pointed at her with an angry glare. "You!" She gritted his teeth and remained silent for a few moments. "Are a good mare, and I like you." Cheerily cocked an eyebrow at the sudden change of emotion, but Trevor ignored it and turned back to the rest of the class. "Any other stupid questions?" Sweetball raised her hoof and Tread pointed to her. "Yeah, you aren't actually Bloom's uncle, are you? You aren't even a pony. Or, you aren't even a pony." I can't do fucking Sweetball with all this yelling. I'm sorry. "And why does that matter?" Trevor said with narrowed eyes. "Do I need to share blood to be considered family? Hell no, I don't. Blood isn't all that important." Trevor thought for a moment before continuing. "Well, metaphorically, blood isn't important. Physically, however, it is very important. After all, first-hand experience has shown me that if you bleed something enough, it will die. Painfully." Once again, shock gasp filled the room, and Sweetie Belle covered her mouth to muffle a terrified shriek, looking like she was about to faint. "He's kidding!" Bloom shouted with a nervous laugh. "He's just kidding." She cleared her throat to draw everybody's attention. "Anyway, no, he's not my Uncle by blood, but he's an honorary member of the Apple family. He arrived here in Equestria about 3 months ago, and my sister offered Princess Celestia that he could stay at our farm. He had been with us ever since, and I consider him family." "Wait, you're not from Equestria?" Scooter asked aloud. "You didn't raise your hoof!" Trevor screamed at her in a low voice. Scooter's ears folded down, and she ducked beneath her desk. Bloom once again jabbed Trevor in the side, and he let out a heavy sigh. "I'm sorry for snapping like that. It was uncalled for, and I give my most sincere apologies." He spoke in a very monotone voice as his words, as he said it had been practiced many times. Scootaloo, with a bit of encouragement from her mother, rose back up and hesitantly raised her hoof. "Why, yes, young filly. Do you have a question?" Trevor spoke as if his previous outburst had not happened. So if you're not from Equestria, then where are you from?" Scootaloo asked nervously. "Unfortunately," Trevor began as he ran a hand over his balding spot, "due to royal decree handed me by Princess Solaras, I am not permitted to speak about where I am from." There were a few gasps at the taking of Celestia's name in vain, but Trevor ignored them and continued. "Apparently it is a matter of national security or some bullshit." "Language, Uncle!" Bloom once again jabbed him in the leg. Yeah. Trevor waved a hand at her before continuing. "All that I can tell is that I come from a world very different from this one, where one man can beat another man to death and not have to worry about consequences for it as long as he can drive fast enough." Again, more gasps rang out as Trevor scratched the back of his head with his moo. "Oops, I did it again." Apple gave a forced fake laugh and waved at him. Oh, Uncle Trevor, you are such a kidder. She gave a few more nervous chuckles before she coughed. Every pony continued to share with a fearful expression before Applebloom got an idea. Uncle, why don't you tell him about what you do for a living? Applebloom asked innocently. Ah, great idea! Trevor gave a smile before placing a palm over his shirt. I am the president and CEO of my very own company, Trevor Phillips Industries. Or Incorporated, depending on when you ask him. Play the fucking game. Trevor opened his mouth to speak again before staring him off. Pardon me, good sir, Fluffy Reg said, causing Trevor's eye to twitch from the interruption, but I do not believe that I am familiar with your particular business. Well, Trevor said, trying very hard not to step from the interruption, we run a very small operation at the moment. However, there was always room for, he gave a sly smirk, aggressive expansion. Really? Fluffy Reg asked. And what areas do your business deal with? Here was the moment of truth. Trevor thought long and hard about what to say, knowing that his wording would have to be careful. He thought back to the attempted deal from earlier that day. Well, there's economic trade. Trevor thought for another moment, remembering all the speed runs and smuggling over the border. And courier services. He recalled the fine legal lab set up at Sweet Apple Acres. Hidden, of course. Manufacturing. And he at least remembered the occasional competition he needed putting down. And sometimes waste disposal. Fluffy Rich thought for a moment, tapping his hoof against his chin. Interesting. Perhaps we could discuss a potential business partnership later on. Daddy! Madame Tiara turned to her father with a look of shock. You can't be serious. Now, sweetie. Fluffy Rich turned to his daughter with a scolding look. There was no need to tarnish any potential friendships. He gave Trevor a genuine smile, which the human surprisingly returned. But... Tiara looked between the human and her father, and then to Applebloom, who had a very smug grin on her face. But he's just a big, dirty, talking monkey! The entire room fell silent, so much so that you could hear a pin drop. Several eyes widened and looked toward Tiara with disbelief. She in turn looked up at Trevor and immediately wished she could have taken the words back. Trevor stared at her with one eye open farther than the other. You, he whispered, his hands clenched into fists. You little... His eye twitched a little, his mouth twisted into a horrible snarl. You little punk. The big vein in his forehead popped out, and Apple's eyes widened. Her sister had warned her about this particular feature of Trevor. Supposedly, after some rehabilitation, he had finally turned away from responding violently to merrier words from others. However, he still had a tendency to get rather verbal. I'm honestly kind of surprised that they turned him away from acting out with violence against words. That's kind of surprising, given it's Trevor. Continued to repeat the word over and over again. His face twisted up into one of boiling rage. He seemed to have actual fire in his eyes, which made Diamond Tiara go pale-faced. Applebloom coughed loudly, drawing the attention of every pony in the room. Luckily, she had been told by her sister what to do should she ever see the signs of what was about to happen. To all of the older family members in the room, she said aloud as she brought her hooves up to cover her ears, you may wish to follow suit with your colts and fillies. Every pony in the room seemed to understand immediately, and all of the older family members brought their hooves up to cover the ears of the young ones. Just as they did, Trevor's rage finally boiled over. You little fucking cunt! I'm doing this with gritted teeth because I don't want to yell too loudly. Trevor skimmed the last word, his eyes firmly fixed on Diamond Tiara. Even though she did not hear it through her father's hooves, surprising, she still felt plentiful fearful from the human's gaze. And he did not stop there. And not just you! Every fucking where I go, I deal with this chicken shit bullshit! He stomped his feet around as he spoke. Trevor brought his arms up and started to wave them around, while speaking the next part in a high-pitched mock-Billy voice. Oh, look at the big dirty monkey! Mommy, can I throw peanuts at him? Mr. Monkey, are you going to throw your shit at us? Do you fucking know who I am? Trevor screamed as he pointed at himself and then at Diamond Tiara. I'm the guy who's gonna burn your house down with the jerry can! Ever since I landed in this land of fucking sunshine and rainbows, I have dealt with one shitstorm after another. He then kept a hand to his ear. What's that, Celestia? You want to reform me? You want to make me a better person and individual? Well, guess what? He then gave a double middle fingers to the ceiling and screamed at the roof. Reform this, you fucking bitch! And then you all dare to question me. Me! Thinking you all understand when you don't know shit. He again altered his voice to a mock high-pitched voice while he pranced down Cheerly's desk. Oh, Trevor, why did you bash that poor griffin's head in? Oh, Trevor, why did you blow up that pawn shop? Oh, Trevor, why do you always have to be a degenerate fucking scumbag? You wanna know why? You wanna fucking know why? Because... Trevor took a few seconds to draw in a long breath and then let it out full force. Assholes! He made a sweeping gesture to every individual in the room. Every pony! Assholes! Trevor, finally exhausted, slumped back against Shirley's desk. He took deep breaths to try to alleviate his tired lungs. After a few tense cautionary minutes of silence, the hooves of the older ponies left the ears of the younger ones. The colts and fillies, their innocence having been spared by the actions of their family members, all looked up quizzically at the stallions and mares. Each and every older pony had the same look on their face, completely slack-jawed and wide-eyed. Their expressions were completely still and unmoving, save for the occasional eye twitches. None of them seemed more stunned than that of Miss Cheerly. Bloom, who removed her hooves from her ears and looked between the heavily breathing Trevor and the chalk pony's room, gave a sheepish smile. It took every ounce Cheerly had in her to summon up the will to force out 2 single words. Class dismissed, she said, flatly still, wide-eyed. Bloom did not skip a beat. She scampered up to Trevor, reaching up to grasp one of his hands with her hoof. The filly then led the human across the room and out the door as fast as she could, not daring to glance around at the still shocked, unmoving faces as she did so. The two passed out the door and arrived outside, where Trevor's red Bodie was parked mere yards away from the front door. Trevor went to lean against the front bumper of his truck, still breathing heavily. Lord knows I am, too. The two of them sat there for a few tense moments before Bloom broke the silence. Uncle Trevor? Bloom began, but Trevor held the finger of silence as he continued to take deep breaths. It was a few more seconds before he turned up his head to meet her worried gaze. Well, he began standing up straight. That actually went better than I expected. Yeah, Bloom gave a nervous laugh. I reckon it could have been way worse. Child, that there's the golden lesson in life that I learned a long time ago. He put his hands on his hips and let out a heavy sigh. No matter how messed up things may get, it could always be a hell of a lot worse. Yeah, I guess that is true. Bloom sat silent for a few moments before she spoke again. Well, you should probably get going before somebody calls the Royal Guard. Again. Yeah, not a bad idea. Trevor made his way to the other over to the driver door and opened it up. Before he hopped in, a voice off to the side caught his attention. Wait! Both Trevor and Bloom turned their heads to see Filthy Rich stumble out the door of the schoolhouse and walk up to Trevor. Mr. Phillips, I wish to have a word, if I may. Trevor let out a heavy sigh before slamming the truck door and turning to the side. Sir, if this is about what I think it is, you'd best do yourself a favor and just let it go and walk away. What? Filthy Rich cocked an eyebrow before his eyes widened in realization. Oh, you mean you'll help us from there? No need to worry about that. Believe me. He gave a slight chuckle. It happens to the best of us. Trevor cocked an eyebrow. Alright then, if not that, then what? What I want to discuss is what I mentioned earlier, before my daughter's rather rude remark. Filthy Rich began, the possibility of working together in the near future. Seriously? Trevor asked with a bewildered expression. Not that I have a problem with it, but most would be a little more hesitant after something like that. On the contrary, Filthy Rich gave a smile. I happen to both admire both your passion and your... He coughed. Blunt honesty. More than that, you give me an impression, Mr. Phillips. You take me as someone who can get things done. Trevor was silent for a few moments before he smiled. Well, I have been told that time and time again. So then, Filthy Rich held out a hoof. Pardons? Trevor stared at the offered hoof before a moment before he took it in his hand, giving it a firm shake. Like I said, always looking for expansion. Excellent! Filthy Rich grinned as he tracked his hoof. I will have my ponies contact your ponies to arrange something. Filthy Rich turned to walk back towards the schoolhouse, but was stopped by Trevor. Pardon me, sir. Trevor said as he crossed his arms. But my services are a special field. Are you even aware of what it is that I do? Philly Rich was silent a moment before he gave a dark chuckle and turned to Trevor with a sly smile. What was it that you said before? Waste disposal? Philly Rich fished out an expensive pair of designer sunglasses and put them over his eyes. Well, you were not the only one in that particular business. Rest assured. He turned away from the human. You will be hearing from me soon, Mr. Phillips. I look forward to our future business ventures. With that, the stallion walked and disappeared into the schoolhouse. Trevor stared wide-eyed at the doorway, a look of disbelief on his face. Bloom, who did not understand the slightest what had been implied, turned to Trevor with a naive smile. Well, maybe everything is going to turn out okay after all, she chirped happily. Trevor blinked himself out of his trance and turned to her. Yeah, he smiled. I guess it will. Well, Bloom followed dirt with proof. I guess you'll be going back to work now? Nah, Trevor said with a wave of his hand. I think that concludes it for today. I would say it is about time for us to go home. Wait, us? What do you mean by eep? Bloom let us surprise squeak as Trevor scooped him up into his arms. He then opened the driver's door of the truck and hopped into his seat. Bloom was then gently laid down in the passenger seat, and she looked up to him with a look of disbelief in her eyes. Really? She asked as she looked around the inside of the truck. But Applejack said that I wasn't allowed to ride in here. Trevor started the truck, the rumbling of the engine making Bloom jump slightly in surprise. He turned to her with a half smile. You should catch this on the way in and say it was my fault. He reached an arm out and just the side view mirror. Hey, Bloom spoke softly. Uncle Trevor? Yeah. Trevor asked before he felt something scamper into his chest. A small set of hooves wrapped around his neck. He looked down at the small fellow who softly embraced him. Thanks for coming in today to speak, she said as she nuzzled his cheek with a smile and closed eyes. You're the best uncle ever. It was then, in that moment, that Trevor Phillips, the half-insane, psychopathic, cannibalistic, murdering, drug-addicted, gun-running, alcoholic criminal of Los Santos felt something. In the depth of his chest, a very warm feeling spread through his heart, wrapping him in an embrace unlike anything else. It was a feeling that he had not felt in a very long time. It was only a few seconds later that he realized what it was. Belch. Bloom immediately released her grip and jumped back into her seat. Her face crunched up. Ew, Trevor! Trevor let off another burp into his fist. Sorry, heartburn. Bloom reached over and smacked him on his arm playfully, giggling as she did so. Alright, how about we just go home? Trevor reached over and grabbed a strap along Bloom's seat, pulling it over her and clicking it into a little plastic piece on the side. Safety first, he said as he shifted the truck into gear. Safety? Bloom cocked an eyebrow. But why would I need... She was cut off as Trevor slammed down on the gas pedal, causing the truck to take off. Bloom let off a streak as they took down the road at great speed, leaving a cloud of dust in their wake. The Bodie raced down the path toward the direction of Sweet Apple Acres, with Bloom putting her hooves up like she was on a roller coaster, a gigantic grin in her face. The filly was having such a great time that she failed to notice a faint red stain on the driver's seat, or the large pile of weaponry in the back bed. There's an author's note. I'm fucking tired and I can't read it, because I'm fucking gonna lose my voice with this. That was Meet My Uncle, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it, because this was fucking fun to record. Probably would have been more fun if my dad wasn't home and I could yell louder, but, you know, whatever. Don't care. Hope you all enjoyed this, everybody. If you did, do your fucking thing, you know. Tell me. I'd like to know if you guys like this shit or not. Oh, for the record, this was made by GeneralLiberator on FimFiction. This was actually his first story, and I gotta fucking say, that was fucking amazing. Props to you if you ever watched this. Anyways, until next time, everybody. Peace out.